Hi, I'm Caleb, 28, and last month I walked out of my twin sister's wedding, mid-ceremony, still wearing the apron they made me wear to help serve guests. The thing is, I was never supposed to be a guest. Let me tell you how I ended up slicing cake instead of dancing, how my parents spent $25,000 on a designer wedding for my sister while handing me a tray of canapes, and how I finally decided to stop playing the family butler. You'd think having a twin meant growing up with some basic fairness, right? Equal slices of cake. Matching bikes. Shared birthdays. That stopped for me the year we turned 10, the year my sister, Callie, won a state-level piano competition and my mom declared her the family's star. Since then, Callie's life turned into a performance with my parents as her full-time hype crew. She got the praise, the gifts, the private lessons. I got to clap in the background. Not bitter, just observant. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what they pulled during her wedding. Let's rewind to 6 months ago. We were having dinner at my parents' place, the usual Sunday roast that felt more like a family meeting I hadn't been told about. Callie was glowing with excitement. She'd just gotten engaged to Andrew, a perfectly decent guy who smiled like he was still figuring out who everyone was. The conversation was already about venues and color palettes before I even sat down. I was halfway through a mouthful of potatoes when my mom casually dropped it. Of course, Caleb, you'll be helping coordinate the reception details. You're so good with logistics. Me blinking. Wait, am I part of the wedding party? Callie laughed. Well, not in it, obviously. It's going to be all girls, bridesmaids only. But you'll be around. Helping. Helping. That word. Again. I asked what that meant exactly. My dad passed me the gravy boat and said, just little things. Like helping guests get seated, maybe pass drinks, keep the flows smooth. I stared at them. You mean, like staff? Callie giggled. No, silly. Like family? It'll be nice to have you involved. Fast forward to the planning phase, which, by the way, included 0 invitations to tastings, no say in speeches, and not even a reply when I asked if I could bring a +1. Callie was having a high-end designer wedding, the kind with a calligrapher and a drone videographer, and I was being told to wear black, nothing that clashes. By the time I realized they were treating me as unpaid help, the vendor list already had my name on it. Listed. Next to waitstaff. But I didn't say anything. Not right away. I told myself it's just a few hours, just one day, just keep the peace. Until I saw the invoice. I found it by accident. My mom left her laptop open while I was helping her scan photos for the slideshow. There it was, bold as a billboard. Custom designer gown, $6,800. Floral arch, $3,400. Venue deposit, $7,000. Callie's bachelorette trip reimbursement, $2,300. String quartet, ceremony only, $1,500. Groom's tuxedo and groomsman attire, paid by bride's family, $3,200. Total paid by parents, $25,462. The kind of money that could pay off half my student loans. The kind of money that, when I asked for help buying a used car last year, wasn't available. I sat there, heart thudding, and scrolled through the rest of the list like I was reading someone else's fantasy. A week later, I asked my mom if Callie had always been the favorite. She looked startled. Then she laughed. You know what you are, Caleb? You're the steady one. The helper. The one who never asks for much. That's something to be proud of. Proud. That word made me feel like I was choking on sawdust. I said nothing. Again. The wedding week came fast. I took time off work to assist with setup, got fitted in an ill-fitting black dress shirt Callie's planner handed me without making eye contact, and was handed a laminated event schedule with my name handwritten next to. Cake escorting / refill bar napkins / usher latecomers / tidy bride's room post-ceremony. Bride's brother. Real job title, human mop. The ceremony was beautiful, sure. Callie cried. Andrew looked dazed but happy. Guests we'd never met clapped like this was the royal wedding. I stood by the exit, watching from the shadows. Then came the reception. While guests cheered the couple's entrance, I was in the back helping a caterer lift platters. Mid-toast, I slipped out, still wearing the stupid apron they gave me, just in case, and sat by the dumpsters, alone, while my parents toasted our beautiful daughter and her next chapter. They didn't mention me. Not once. I walked back in to grab my coat and heard someone ask Callie if her twin was around. She laughed and said, "Oh, Caleb's around. He's our behind-the-scenes MVP. We couldn't afford to hire a full assistant." I stood there, apron still on, half a tray of cake forks in my hand. And then I walked out. Not out of duty. Not out of embarrassment. Just out. Down the path, through the parking lot, and into my car. I didn't leave a note. Didn't say goodbye. I drove home, dropped the apron on my kitchen floor, and poured myself a drink. The texts didn't come until morning. The first text came from my mom. "Caleb, where did you disappear to last night? People were asking for you. Very disappointed you left without saying anything." Disappointed. There's that word again, her favorite way to say you embarrass me. 10 minutes later came one from Callie. Are you okay? We literally had no idea you were leaving. You kinda ditched the cleanup without telling anyone. I stared at my phone like it had just sworn at me. Ditching cleanup? I was not on the vendor payroll. I was supposed to be her brother. Her twin. The rest of the morning was a blur of concerned messages that all said the same thing. Why would you leave like that? Couldn't you have waited until the end? Waited for what? To be handed trash bags? And not one message, not one, said I'm sorry. Not even a hint of, maybe we treated you unfairly. At noon, my dad called. I let it go to voicemail. His message? Caleb, listen. I know you were probably overwhelmed, but you embarrassed your sister in front of a lot of people. You're better than that. Give us a call when you've calmed down. I laughed out loud. Calm down. That's what they always say when I stop pretending everything's fine. When I finally put the tray down and say, no. Here's the kicker, they had no idea I'd seen the wedding invoice. No clue that I knew exactly how much money they'd funneled into Callie's big day. And zero awareness of how I'd been quietly absorbing every tiny slight for the past 10 years like a family sponge. The helper. The one who drives to pick up forgotten tablecloths. The one who doesn't mind missing dinner to pick up someone's dry cleaning. The one who gets steady as a personality compliment, while everyone else gets celebrated. So I wrote a message. I didn't send it right away. Took me 2 hours to write it, and another 4 to not delete it. Here's what I finally sent in our family group chat. Caleb. Hi. I've been thinking a lot about the wedding, and I want to clear some things up. First, I didn't ditch. I walked out. On purpose. Because I was done being treated like the family staff. Callie, I love you. You're my sister, my twin, and I wish you every happiness. But you had a $25,000 wedding funded by our parents, every detail curated, every moment captured. And I was never invited as a guest. Not to the rehearsal dinner. Not to the seating chart. Not to the toast. I was handed a black shirt and an apron and asked to help keep things running. Mom, Dad, you say I'm the steady one, the one who never asks for anything. Maybe that's true. But I need to say this now. I'm not okay with how I was treated. I'm not okay with being listed in the staff schedule for my own twin's wedding. And I'm not okay with being told I embarrassed anyone for walking out when you couldn't even offer me a seat at the head table. I didn't walk out to make a scene. I walked out because the scene was already made. And I was never in it. I love you all. But I won't keep showing up just to be invisible. Caleb. I sat back and waited. For 20 minutes, silence. Then a message popped up. Not from my parents. Not from Callie. From my Aunt Margot, my dad's older sister, the one who always sent me books growing up and called me her quiet favorite. Margot. Caleb, I saw what happened at the wedding. I noticed you weren't seated. I noticed you were working. I was furious. I just didn't know how to step in without making things worse. I'm so proud of you for walking out. And I'm here if you need to talk. I stared at that message longer than I'd stared at the invoice. Then came another. Margot again. Also, You were wearing that apron like you were about to serve jury duty and bruschetta. Next time, you come sit with me. That one made me laugh. But it also broke the seal. Suddenly, texts started rolling in, a couple cousins, even a few old family friends who had apparently picked up on the weird vibes. One cousin, Jen, said her mom had noticed I wasn't listed in the wedding program at all. Another messaged simply, "Hey, I saw how they treated you. You didn't deserve that. Respect." But from the main cast? Silence. For 2 days. Then, a carefully composed email arrived. From my mom, of course. Subject line: "Let's reconnect." It was a full-page essay on how things got hectic, and sometimes we don't realize how our actions come across, and how they never meant to hurt me. She even mentioned that everyone plays different roles in a family, and yours is so valuable. So valuable. Like I'm the Bluetooth speaker nobody remembers until the music cuts out. I didn't respond. Instead, I did something they weren't expecting. I booked a vacation. Just me. One-way ticket to British Columbia. No plan, no itinerary. I turned off my phone for 5 days and hiked. Ate weird trail mix. Slept in a tiny cabin and read actual books. Nobody called me steady. Nobody handed me a clipboard. Nobody asked me to pass champagne flutes. When I came back, I still hadn't responded to their emails or calls. And then Callie showed up at my apartment. I opened the door and there she was. Callie, in a raincoat over yoga pants, no makeup, looking less like the bride from a $25,000 Pinterest board and more like the sister I used to raise spikes with down the block. She was holding a Tupperware container. "You made banana bread?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She looked sheepish. "You always said mine was better than Mom's." It was true. Hers was moister. She used brown sugar and didn't tell anyone. I let her in, mostly because I wanted the banana bread. She stood awkwardly in my kitchen while I poured us both coffee and leaned against the counter. No one spoke for a minute. The air between us felt like glass, brittle and tense. Then she said, "You looked so angry when you left. I thought you were going to explode." I shrugged. I didn't want to explode. I just didn't want to be there anymore. Callie nodded, eyes on the banana bread like it was suddenly the most interesting object in the world. "I've been reading that message you sent," she said. Over and over. "I didn't even realize you felt that way." I took a breath. "Callie, I wasn't just feeling it. I was living it." Her jaw tensed. "I know," she said finally. "And I think I owe you an apology. A real one. Not just the family PR version." She sat down, pulled out a folded piece of paper like she was giving a book report. Then, with a slightly trembling voice, read, "Dear Caleb, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made you feel like a background character in my wedding. I'm sorry I didn't invite you to speak, or toast, or even sit at the head table. I'm sorry I let Mom assign you helping roles when you were supposed to be standing beside me, not behind me. I'm sorry I didn't notice, or maybe didn't want to notice, how often I've taken your steadiness for granted. I'm sorry that in trying to have my perfect day, I made you feel small. I love you. And I didn't show it. I get it now." She folded the paper with shaking hands. "I know it doesn't fix things. But it's real." I stared at her. For the first time in years, maybe ever, my twin sister wasn't playing star. She was sitting in my kitchen, apologizing like someone who had finally seen what I saw. "Thank you," I said quietly. Then I added, "You know what killed me the most?" She looked up. "I brought dress shoes. I ironed a button down. I thought maybe at the last minute, someone would say, 'Your family, come take a seat.' But instead, I was folding napkins and carrying trays." Callie's face crumpled. "I should have seen it." "Yeah," I said. "But you didn't." We sat there for a long time. She picked at the crust of the banana bread. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You know what Mom told me? That it was okay to ask you to help, because you don't mind being useful. She said you're the low-maintenance twin? That you don't get your feelings hurt." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so exactly my mother. "I get hurt," I said. "I just don't make a production out of it." Callie looked at me. Well, maybe you should have. Maybe if you threw more tantrums, they'd have taken you seriously. I raised an eyebrow. So I should have cried at the bridal shower? She cracked a smile. Honestly? Would have stolen the show. That made me laugh. For real this time. Then she said, You know, we still haven't opened our wedding gifts. We're doing it next week. It's supposed to be just close family. You don't have to come. But if you want to, this time you'll have a chair. And a glass. And a name card. I looked at her for a long beat. Will I be allowed to eat, or am I bringing hors d'oeuvres? She laughed. You're bringing sarcasm and banana bread judgment. Fair. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no. After she left, I sat on the couch and reread her apology note twice. Then I got a text from my dad. Just 2 words. Coffee soon? No. Sorry. No. We messed up. Just coffee. That was his version of an olive branch. I didn't answer right away. I needed time. But here's what I did do. I called Aunt Margot. I thanked her for her message. We ended up talking for an hour about her garden, her new cat, and how families forget that quiet doesn't mean fine. Then I sent her a picture of the apron. Just the apron, folded on my floor like it had fainted from exhaustion. She sent back. Frame it. Caption: The day Caleb quit catering. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. But that wasn't the end. Because then my mother sent a group email titled, A Wedding Recap and a Note About Family. And what she wrote next? That was a whole different kind of betrayal. 3 days after Callie came over with banana bread and an apology, I got the email. Subject line: A Wedding Recap and a Note About Family. The kind of title that feels like it should come with a glass of Chardonnay and a pair of tweezers to peel your own face off. I clicked. It was a long, winding message, half photo album, half damage control. She opened with, What a beautiful day to celebrate our radiant daughter and her new chapter! And included a Google Drive folder full of pictures. Candids of guests laughing. The cake being cut. A slow-motion video of Callie and Andrew dancing under sparklers, like they were in a shampoo commercial. Then she pivoted. A paragraph titled, On the Matter of Caleb. I wish I were joking. She wrote, Some of you may have noticed that our son Caleb stepped away during the reception. While the day was filled with love and celebration, not all moments went according to plan. As many of you know, Caleb is a sensitive soul who prefers to help behind the scenes. In hindsight, perhaps we asked too much of him. But in families, we all pitch in. We don't always get applause for it, but we do it because we love one another. We hope he finds peace and remembers that family isn't always about equal attention, it's about shared support. My jaw didn't drop. It clenched. Sensitive soul? Stepped away. Like I went out for a smoke and never came back. Shared support. Like I didn't spend 3 days setting up flower arrangements I wasn't allowed to smell. And this wasn't just a private email. She BCC'd it to 57 people. Friends, cousins, family acquaintances I hadn't seen since I was 12 and still had braces and hope. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to Callie with one line. So much for your apology. She replied in under a minute. What the hell is this? Then, I didn't know she was sending this. I swear. She made it sound like you were emotionally unstable. Do not let this stand. Want me to post your apron on Facebook? I didn't. But something in me snapped into place, not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. This wasn't about the wedding anymore. It wasn't even about the apron. It was about the role I'd been quietly performing my whole life. The one they assigned me as. The steady one. The one who never asks for much. The one who doesn't like attention. They'd built an entire family system on the belief that I didn't need a seat. So I decided to rewrite the script. I sent my own email. Subject line. From the sensitive soul, a clarification. Hi everyone. Many of you received an email this week that included commentary about me stepping away from my sister's wedding. I wanted to respond clearly and directly, because I've spent too many years letting silence carry weight it didn't earn. I did not step away. I left. I left because I was not invited as a guest to my own twin sister's wedding. I left because while the rest of the family was enjoying a $25,000 designer celebration, I was handed an apron and asked to work. Not metaphorically, literally. I was assigned tasks, not a seat. Instructions, not an invitation. I didn't toast. I didn't dance. I didn't speak. I carried trays. And when I realized I wasn't even mentioned during the toast, not as a sibling, not as a twin, not even as a person standing in the room, I left. Not out of spite. But because there's a moment when you realize staying is simply a form of consent. My family has often described me as steady. What they mean is quiet. Low maintenance. Background. I've been called selfless, when I didn't argue. Helpful, when I didn't complain. Reliable, when I swallowed disappointment and smiled anyway. I'm done with that version of me. I'm not angry. But I am reclaiming my seat. If that makes anyone uncomfortable, good. Growth usually does. With love and boundaries. Caleb. I didn't hit send right away. I let it sit in drafts for a few hours. I sent it to Callie first. She called me within seconds. Send it, she said. Don't change a word. So I did. And then I put my phone on airplane mode, made myself a sandwich, and watched 3 episodes of The Bear while the internet chewed on my family dynamic. When I turned my phone back on that night, the responses were a tsunami. Some were silent, reactions in the form of nothing. People choosing to stay out of it. But others? My cousin Evan wrote, I've never seen anyone say it that clearly. You're right. Proud of you. My friend Claire, who used to call my mom Frosty. Message. You dropped that email like a brick through a stained glass window. Glorious. Even my uncle, my dad's brother, replied, Thank you for saying what so many of us have felt. Your parents are not good at fairness. Never have been. But the biggest surprise? My dad. He emailed me directly. Just 4 lines. Caleb. I read your message. I wish you'd said something sooner. I'm sorry you didn't feel seen. I'd like to start doing better, if you'll let me. It wasn't perfect. But it was honest. I didn't write back right away. But I did screenshot it. Then I printed it, folded it, and tucked it under the apron. Not out of sentimentality, but because I wanted a record. A sign that I'd drawn a line, and someone noticed. That weekend, Callie came over again. This time, she brought wine. And 2 proper place settings. I told Andrew he can survive a Saturday without me, she said. He's bonding with the air fryer. We sat on my balcony, watched the sky go from blue to lavender, and toasted. To banana bread, she said. To seed assignments, I said. We clinked glasses. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in the picture, not taking it. Not carrying trays. Not standing in the wings. Not waiting for permission to exist in the center. Just sitting at my own damn table. No apron required.